Hey guys, Josh here today. We're here to talk about the F1 2017 driver market and who is going to be driving for Renault and who is going to be driving for Force India. If you guys haven't seen the two previous videos I've done on the 2017 driver market, then be sure to check them out. I correctly predicted that Kimi Räikkönen will be staying for next year, and I also predicted Haas, Williams and McLaren. So in today's video then we're going to be focusing on Renault, because this is a very interesting team for 2017. They've got a plethora of driver options, and I think they really need to take time to decide who they are going to sign. This is why I think the decision is probably going to come on a bit later on in the year, possibly kind of September, October time, possibly even later, just because they have so many options and they need to kind of wait to see how some of their young drivers do. For example, Esteban Ocon in DTM and Sergei Sorokin in GP2. So let's get into it then, and first of all, I think for the kind of first seat, I would kind of give it to Kevin Magnussen for now, because Magnussen seems very confident that he's staying there next year. Even the way he's talking in driver interviews, it's basically, in the interviews, it sounds like he's already got a seat. He's pretty confident, and I think they will be retaining Magnussen. He hasn't set the world alight really this year, and in my mind, I think Renault should hold off for a bit, see how he does for the second half, and maybe even make a change there, because I don't think he's done as good as many people had expected already, and I think there are quite a few better options out there. Magnussen, I think, is suffering from the same sort of problems he had in 2014, inconsistency and just kind of getting in the way of other cars sometimes. We saw him get a penalty for being too aggressive in his defence, and it's these kind of rookie mistakes that he's still kind of making, which is a bit frustrating. So we'll see if he can improve in the second half of the year. In my mind, he's just done enough to get another year at Renault, but it could be very close. But he does seem pretty confident, so I think it's pretty safe to say he'll be there next year. But the second seat, wow, this could go to literally anyone. We got Felipe Massa, Esteban Ocon, Jolyon Palmer, Sergei Sorokin, Oliver Rowland, Danny Fiat, Sergio Perez, all rumoured around this second Renault seat. And, well, it was second, I say, but if it's someone like Felipe Massa, Sergio Perez will probably kind of give them the number one driver role. But, yeah, in terms of who could that be, well, I think it's going to be Esteban Ocon. I mean, he's been in numerous FP1 sessions this year. Of course, he was in Germany. He's done a really solid job, of course, over the past few years in junior Formula. He beat Max Verstappen to the Formula 3 title, then he went on and won the GP3 championship in his first year, and then he moved across to DTM. He hasn't had the best season so far, but he scored the same amount of points as Pascal Wehrlein did in his first 10 races, so I'm not really too worried about his performances in DTM. And I think Ocon will be a very solid choice. I think he's a future world champion. I think he's the next Alain Prost, and hopefully Renault share that vision and they snap him up for 2017. It's very much looking like that is the plan, but there's a few other drivers that might be throwing spanners in the works. For example, Felipe Massa, he's got a ton of Brazilian money and a ton of course, experience. I'm not sure if he's quite the best option for the future, and I think it's possibly time for Massa to retire, to be brutally honest, but he does still have a lot to offer, and if they did go with him, it wouldn't exactly be a bad move, but it might not be the best move. So guys, Sorokin, GP2 of course, and doing a pretty good job so far this season. He started off pretty poorly really, after showing amazing pace after leading I think 2 races. He then binned it in the barriers, and well, he spun in Spain and then binned it in Monaco. And then, you know, he's gone on a bit of a resurgence recently, and I think he could challenge Gasly and Giovinazzi for the championship. So if he does win the championship, he would definitely be in consideration for that second seat. Possibly even Sorokin and Ocon could both be at Renault next year. I think that would be a great move really. It would be very bold, very brave, but we've seen recently, it doesn't matter how old you are, and I think it's actually better sometimes to go with the young drivers. Look at what Toro Rosso did with Sainz and Verstappen. Imagine if Renault did that, but with Sorokin and Ocon. I think that could work really well. There's Carlos Sainz as well, of course. He's snapped up for 2017, but possibly for 2018. So Renault can really, you know, they have so many drivers really at their feet, kind of, you know, wanting a drive there. So they really need to take their time and assess the best options. They've got Sergio Perez as well, possibly interested. I mean, he's come out and said today, or the day of recording, which is Thursday, it's probably like a week ago now, but he's basically said that he might not be at Force India for 2017. And he might be looking elsewhere, so maybe possibly Renault could be an option for him. But in my mind, he's only saying that to get a bit of a better contract at Force India. And I think my prediction for Force India is definitely Hülkenberg and Perez. I can definitely say that now. And my prediction for Renault, I would say, is Esteban Ocon and Kevin Magnussen. But, you know, numerous other drivers looking around, and you never really know. Could they go for someone like Massa or a Button? Or are they going to go for a bit of a risk, maybe in Sorokin or even Ollie Rowland, who's doing a pretty solid job in GP2 considering what team he's in? And then there's people like Danny Fiat. You know, he does bring in a lot of money, but he's probably more likely, if he is going to stay in Formula 1, because he's definitely not going to be with Toro Rosso, but if he is going to stay with in Formula 1, it's probably going to be with someone like Williams, Sauber or Manor, who all three of those, of course, are in a bit of a desperate need of money, especially if Massa leaves Williams. They're going to need some money, possibly from Danny Fiat or possibly from Alex Lynn. Lindo at the moment does look quite unlikely, considering he's not having the best GP2 campaign so far, and he's already said he wants to, well, this is his last season in GP2, possibly suggesting he's given up on Formula 1 and possibly heading to Formula E next year with Jaguar, so keep an eye on that one. But I think that's pretty much it then for Renault. I mean, like I said, there's so many options for them. They could go really any way. Sebastian Buemi has been thrown into the hat as well last night by Sinan, as I was discussing it, who could be driving for Renault. So that's a bit of an interesting one. He's still, of course, testing Formula 1. But he's at a top Formula E team. He's challenging for the championship. He is the Formula E champion, so I think he'll be staying in Formula E, and I think it will be Ocon and Magnussen. So I've rambled on for now long enough about one subject, so I'll leave it to you guys now to discuss in the comments. So until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful week, and goodbye.